What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Fantasy Pros. This is Leading Off Live, the Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Orrico, joined again today by Casey Bubba. And yes, it is our final time together for the 2025 Fantasy Baseball season. Bubba, it's been great getting to talk with you here a couple times a week, getting to talk some baseball and just catch up. It's been really good, man. Thank you so much for joining me again today. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and honestly, I hope we get to do it again next year. Hopefully, we get to do more often. Just tell those guys to stick with football. We got this covered. Not that big a deal, but always good chatting with you. We need to do it more often, either here, our show, somewhere. We need to make it happen.
This is the problem. I used to do a show every single day. I used to bring on a lot more guests. I used to have a lot more conversations throughout the industry. I don't do that show anymore, but I'm very happy to be able to talk with you here nonetheless, Bubba. And we're going to be in person in a couple months, so that should be fun as well down in the desert. But today, guys, fill up the chat with your questions. This will be our final show of the year, and I want to talk about some potential streamers the rest of the way, some hot bats that are being picked up. We're going to go through a couple of the headlines from yesterday and a couple of injuries as well. But let me know if you have any questions. We will be happy to answer them. What I wanted to start off with here, Bubba, just talk about a couple of hot guys over the last few days. See if you think they're viable pickups here for the final week of the season. Paredes is the first one that comes to mind. We talked about him, I think, a little bit last week. He's hit one home run since he's returned. He's been hitting third in the lineup for the Astros. If you need a little bit of a boost right now, is he somebody that you think is worth picking up, especially because Houston right now is in Sacramento?
Yeah, if you want the Sacramento boost, for sure, I would jump on that with Isak. I think he's still just trying to get kind of knock the rust off from the long layoff. He does get to go to Anaheim this weekend and has a phenomenal schedule against Hendricks, Caden Dana, and Aldegari potentially. And the Astros are fighting for that postseason life. Like right now, they're out of the playoffs as we speak, which is crazy to think about because the Tigers have the sixth. They have the wild card, while the Guardians now have the AL Central. So the Astros are going to be playing everybody they can, I think, till the end, which gives Isak and a really good schedule a nice streaming viability.
Man, when we were talking a couple weeks ago, it was the last show on Twitch, and somebody said, "Who do you think is going to come out of the American League?" And I said, "No, the Astros." And I completely jinxed them. They have gone completely cold since then. And it's been a really interesting couple weeks, actually, Bubba. Like, I thought every playoff spot was pretty secured as of maybe September 12th or 13th or something like that. And then you had Cincinnati come back. You had Seattle do their thing, Cleveland doing their thing. It's been a lot more interesting than I really expected it to be down the stretch here.
Yeah, to your point, like a month ago, like you said, basically it was. It seemed like everything was done. We're bored. This stinks. Like we saw people posting on X that like everyone should get it, like all these different scenarios for the postseason. And now to your point, like heading into the final week of the year, the almost every AL division at least had something cooking. And like last night we broke down the postseason on Bubba and the Bloom, and there's legit about 3 or 4 teams in the National and American leagues that could be in or out by the end of the week. So it's really good to see. At least we have something fun to look forward to this week.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it in the American League with my Blue Jays, who looked like they had the East kind of wrapped up, and now they've started struggling. The Yankees are picking back up. The Red Sox are still in it. There's a lot of excitement, and I really didn't think a few weeks ago there was going to be anything. Everybody was like 90% plus in terms of their playoff odds, but things have really, really shifted in the final couple weeks, which is kind of what you want to see. You want there to be excitement heading into the last week or so of the season. Another guy who has been kind of hot, now it'll depend on the depth of your league whether or not he is around, but Spencer Steer has been cooking with gas recently. They are at home for the next couple of days. Now they do have to face Paul Skeens today, Braxton Ashcraft tomorrow, and then he goes on the road and gets Jacob Mizorowski and Freddie Peralta this weekend. So tough matchups a little bit. But any interest in adding Spencer Steer, Bubba, or starting him potentially? Let's say it's a league where he is rostered, but you're debating putting him in the lineup. Is he worth it for you here in these last few days?
I take my chances at home with it is tough, like you said, Skeens and Ashcraft. Now, the Milwaukee series is interesting because they have the bye locked up. So, how many innings do they give Priester, Mizorowski, Peralta to get ready for the postseason? That's the big question. I think you run Steer out there for the next 2 days and then maybe find a replacement for the weekend if possible.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that does make sense. He has, I've got him in a couple of leagues, and I think it was this week or last week where he was like a day-to-day designation heading into the week, and you threw him into the lineup. If you benched him, you missed out on a lot of good production, but it's been a bit of an up-and-down year for Spencer Steer for sure. We mentioned him last week. I wanted to bring him up again. Austin Martin, you still think he is a viable pickup if anybody is looking for a little bit of help in batting average, maybe add a couple steals down the stretch?
Yep, we'll be talking Austin Martin later in the show as well. So I like him quite a bit. The Texas matchups don't rate out great with DeGrom and Molly, but their bullpen's been kind of sketch. But the Bueller, Nola, Suarez over the weekend, especially if Philadelphia doesn't want to go full bore with those pitchers, bodes very well for Austin Martin. Hitting second, still getting on base a ton, stole another bag, I believe, Tuesday night. So he's racking up the counting stats for you. He might not have a ton of power, but he's helping everywhere else. So I like him quite a bit still.
What do you think about Heribero Hernandez? Over the last couple of weeks, he has 3 home runs. He's hitting .333. He's added a steal in there. Any interest in adding him here with a couple games against Philly and then heading to the Mets?
I'm cool with it because he gets 3 lefties in the last 5 games, which should lock him into the lineup. He still plays versus righties, don't get me wrong, but he tends to like maybe split those right-handed starts because for now, quote unquote, the Marlins are healthy. Dane Myers did leave on Tuesday, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But Hernandez, a lot of pop, okay batting average. So I guess it depends on what your team needs, but could be a nice little finish to the season for him with the especially the Mets matchups because the Mets will be going for it, but they have been struggling a lot, especially that bullpen.
The Mets pitching has completely gone away in the second half of the year. I was talking about it on Monday with Chris Towers. It was a lot of fun. Chris Towers joined me if you guys have missed that one. But just talking about how the Mets at different times of the year have had different things cooking. They're pitching early on with Holmes, with Peterson, with Tyler McGill, who we have a not great update on later. They were cooking. And then the bats, like over, I think it was July and August, were like the hottest hitting team in baseball. But at the same time, nothing was ever working all together. It'll be really, really dark stuff if they miss the playoffs after what happened last year, adding Soto. But that one is probably the most interesting race for me. Cincinnati and New York and Arizona there in the NL wildcard has been a lot of fun to follow. One last name here to bring up. It's Bo Naylor, somebody who has fell short of expectations. It seems like forever. I've always loved the guy, being a Canadian homer myself. But Bo Naylor, over the last 2 weeks, he's hitting .375, 3 home runs, 14 ribbies in the last 2 weeks. And the Guardians are really cooking with gas. He's playing more than he had been. I'm kind of interested in Bo Naylor. I guess the question is who your current catcher is, but do you think he's a viable pickup here for the final few days?
Most definitely. The Guardians are going for it, so they're starting their guys. At least they should be. So he should play 3 or 4 of the last 5 games. Pretty darn good matchups against Detroit and Texas. I absolutely love this Naylor call. I talked about him on a couple of recent Fab shows. It's like, where's this guy been when I was pumping him up every preseason for the last 2 years? This is like what we're seeing in September is, I think, the skill set. And then I sit back and I go, oh, wait a minute. He is only 25 years old. So, like, there still might be a level where he becomes like a catcher 2 next year or something. So, your original point, yes, go ahead and add him. There are a lot of catching options this week you could add, but definitely a strong one this week.
I really like him, and I know I'm biased. I've always liked his brother, but like there are certain things that are kind of encouraging in the data still. 14 home runs. He gets on base at a decent clip considering he hits under 200 with his 11% walk rate. Just hasn't really been able to put it all together offensively. Pretty solid on the defensive side of the ball, but I'm really hoping next year is the year where Bo Naylor can start to resemble his brother a little bit more. Guys, I want to remind you, we are still giving away the Billy Wagner signed baseball. That is courtesy of our friends over at pristineauction.com. All you have to do to enter is subscribe to the FantasyPros MLB YouTube channel right now. Drop a comment below on any video, and that is it. We'll be announcing one lucky winner right here on the channel, so make sure you turn on those notifications so you know when new videos are up and to claim your prize. Let's take a couple of questions. Fenway Cheap Seats saying, no question, but just want to say thank you for all your advice and responses all year. I've got a 16-point lead in my 6x6 home roto league, so I appreciate y'all. 16 points feels pretty good right now. You know, it's not over till the fat lady starts singing, but that feels pretty good for you, Fenway. So congrats over there. David saying, I'm in my championship. Thanks, guys. Love the podcast. And JPack as well. I'm in my championship. Can't say thank you enough to Joe and Bubba and also Joey P. and Welsh. Whatever with those guys. No, I appreciate it.
They gave up on you. I was kidding.
I really do appreciate it. We're just messing around. Joe and Welsh are our guys here. So we're just having a little bit of fun. What about this Grimm guy? Do we believe in him? I think you're probably talking about Krim for the Rockies. Blaine Krim, I believe. We mentioned him last weekend, and we said that he was maybe a decent pickup for the weekend slate. He did hit a home run, drove in a couple runs. The problem here is that there are a lot of holes in this game, a ton of swing and miss. They're in Seattle right now, and then they head to San Francisco. It's not really the two ballparks you want to be headed into, especially because you see Colorado. He's a Rockies bat, but he's not going to benefit from any Coors goodness the rest of the way. So I think I don't want to speak for you, Bubba, but Krim is probably somebody we can leave alone for the rest of the year.
Yeah, one might say it is grim, the outlook for the rest of his season. So, yes, I would move on from that. Like maybe he runs into a homer, but there's a lot of potential downfall with what he's got coming up.
Yeah, J-Pack, you're good. You're good. Sometimes we don't even know our own names around these parts, so you are totally good for not recognizing Blaine Krim. Not exactly a household name, so you are definitely forgiven there, my friend. I do want to talk about, and keep throwing your questions in there, guys. We'll keep coming back to them throughout the show here. I want to talk about a couple of potential pitching streamers. Now, this time of year, everything is chaos. Everything is nuts. You never really know who's starting on a given day, but I just put a couple of guys in the show sheet here that I think are pretty viable ads / streams for the next couple of days. Today, Wednesday, this is more for the live crowd. If you're listening back, I apologize, but we'll start with Wednesday. Stephen Kolek against the Angels, Ryan Weathers against Philly, Jonah Tong against the Cubs, and Taj Bradley against the Rangers. For me, Kolek and Tong are probably my favorites here. Kolek has been cooking, and Jonah Tong had that one really rough start, but did bounce back pretty well. What are your thoughts on this group of streamers or potential streamers we have for today, Bubba?
I agree. Kolak, it's really impressive what he has put together since rejoining the Royals rotation. He's made 4 starts, all quality starts, 2 earned runs or less in all of them. Not a big strikeout guy, but did punch out 8 Mariners over 7 1/3 in his last start, and he gets to take on a wonderful, wonderful Halos team that strikes out 32.2% of the time versus righties over the past month. 32.2% of the time. A third of their at-bats versus right-handed pitchers. That is horrific. So I love Kolek in this one, so prepare for the downfall. I apologize now. And then the rest of them is tough. Like I really want to go with Ryan Weathers. The Phillies have been missing some players lately, like Harper's battling injuries. Don't know how deep Weathers is going to go in that game. So I'm going to go with Weathers. I don't disagree with your Tong take, but Kolek is the clear one in this group.
Yeah, Kolek has been phenomenal, and you're riding the hot hand there. For me with Tong, there's been a couple of pitchers like this who have had kind of one real stinker that blows up their line. Cade Cavalli, Bubba Chandler, Tong as well. I think I'm forgetting one other young guy. And you look at the overall stats, and you're like, okay, Jonah Tong for the year, it's a 5.94 ERA and a 1.44 WHIP. But all of that damage really just came in that one horrific start. So, at that age, you are going to have some ups and downs. The fact that he's facing the Cubs does give me a little bit of encouragement. It definitely wouldn't have earlier in the year, but the Cubs are kind of whatever at this point. They're not really a team that scares me off. So I think there are a couple of viable options for today. Looking ahead to tomorrow, Michael Lorenzen, again, targeting those Angels because they're not good, as Bubba alluded to. Taijuan Walker against Miami, Braxton Ashcraft against Cincinnati, and Tyler Mahle coming off of a pretty decent return. He gets Minnesota. Anybody in this group interesting you for streaming purposes, Bubba?
Love the Lorenzen call, like you said, for the same things we just talked about. And Mahle's very interesting. 4 2/3, no earned, 6 Ks against the Marlins in his return from the IL. Now gets a pretty friendly matchup versus Minnesota. So I'm looking at Lorenzen and Mahle right now. The thing with Miami, it's very interesting. They're not striking out a lot. So Walker's going to have to deal with a lot of balls in play in that ballpark. So I'm going with Lorenzen and Mahle in that crew.
Yeah, Taijuan Walker is, this time of year, if you stream him in, May or June and there's a decent matchup, okay. If it hurts you, it hurts you. If you stream him right now and he kills you and you lose your title and lose a bunch of money because of Taijuan Walker, you're going to hate yourself. I'm telling you right now, you're going to hate yourself if that is the case. So yeah, play it a little bit safe. But there's a couple options for you. I think Lorenzen's probably my favorite. Ashcraft came in as a follower to Bubba Chandler, but he's getting the actual start here. So let's just hope for 5 innings against a fairly poor Cincinnati team. And Mahle as well. I think there are actually some pretty decent options tomorrow. Friday is where it could potentially get a little bit thin. Now we got Costanza, Jason Alexander, again, targeting the Angels. But he's coming off of a true stinker on Sunday. Brandon Sproat against Miami. He's also coming off of not a great one. And then Cade Cavalli, who I mentioned earlier, has been really good outside of just one kind of poor start. What are your thoughts on this group, Bubba?
It's a really good group. Like I know I'm insane for trying to go back to Alexander, but I'm going to keep picking on matchups at this point of the year. So that seems pretty nice to me. And then I don't mind the Sproat call or the Cavalli call. I think they're both the Cavalli great matchup versus the White Sox. Sproat versus Miami. Sproat looks pretty good. If I had to pick just one, I'm probably going Cavalli in this group, but I like all 3 if you need it.
I do too. I think Cavalli is probably my favorite, but I'm with you with Costanza. I wrote him up in an article on Sunday, even after getting blown up. Wrote him up as a streamer, even in spite of that. He had been really good. I don't want to hold one bad start against a really hot team against him. I think that he is still pretty viable. Let's look ahead to the weekend, and this is where it gets dicey, guys. Just remember, before you put anybody in your lineup, we're talking specifically for daily league players here. Weekly lineups are set for the year. Just be 100% sure. Things are moving around constantly. I thought Jacob deGrom was a 2-start pitcher this week, and then it was reported he's starting Thursday, and then it's reported he's going Wednesday. So you just never really know. So just be 100% sure. But with that being said, Saturday, Kyle Harrison against the Tigers, Javier Assad against St. Louis, Joey Cantillo against Texas. Bubba, what are your thoughts on this group?
I love Cantillo. I've always been a Cantillo guy. He's looked real sharp of late. You'd imagine the Guardians have to go for it. Texas is throwing in the towel. Like Langford's out. They already said Seager and Simeon aren't coming back. That team's a shell of itself. I love Cantillo in this matchup. Harrison maybe, but never Assad. It is a facade, as my co-host would say. So give me Joey Cantillo. I love that one against Texas on Saturday.
Yeah, I think, I put him on the sheet just because of the matchup for Assad, and I wanted to discuss it, but the numbers are pretty rough. I mean, if you look back at the past couple of seasons, he's been very serviceable, but the strikeouts are just gone. Yep. And they weren't in a place where you could really afford to lose 7 points. He was at 20%, 18%, 19%, down to 12%. So as much as I think that there is a chance things go well, this is probably more of a desperation play. You just need the volume on the weekend, and you got no other options. I think that's probably where he sits. Sunday, here's a couple of final options for the weekend. Jamison Tyone against St. Louis, Shane Smith against the Nationals, and Justin Verlander coming off a pretty rough one himself, but he gets Colorado. Bubba, what do you think?
If Verlander makes the start, I want that one big time. It was a bad start on Monday. He's been so good of late, and the Road Rockies are almost as bad as the Angels right now. So I'm going Verlander in that one. All three aren't bad, to be honest, but give me Justin Verlander.
Yeah, I think I'll go Verlander as well. This has been an interesting few weeks, to say the least. And once again, my apologies to the guy I told not to pick him up a while back, although I guess maybe it saved you this week. But overall, Justin Verlander has been a lot better. And what do you think? I asked Towers about this, and he thought he's not too interested for next year. But with Verlander saying that he's going to stick around, the fact that he's ended pretty well here, will you have any interest in drafts for next season, like a late round or potentially like your last pick kind of thing?
If he's free, like he was this year, preferably in a 15. The 12 team, he's strictly a stream for me because he's going to have a lot of you don't want him out there moments. But 15s, he's going to have a lot of legs. And I actually had him. I drafted him in a few 15s to start the year. I dropped him when things were horrific. But I could see where this has a path to success for a 15-team league, yes.
Even at his age, it's kind of crazy. I think he's going to be 43 or he's already 43. It's wild to see what he's been able to do here. Him and Kershaw just having these really nice runs at this stage of their career has been kind of nice to see. But guys, I want to remind you that today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. We just got a few days left in the baseball season. Week 4 across the NFL kicks off tomorrow night, and there are a ton of bets that you can be making on Hard Rock. If you still haven't placed your first bet, it's not too late. Place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you'll score $150 in bonus bets on top of your payout. Plus, there are tons of parlay boosts and things going on like almost every single night. So you definitely need to be checking out the app. There's new promos every day. If you're listening to this later, open up that app, check out what we've got going on any day of the week. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit today. All right, what else we got going on in the chat here? Joe G, friend of the show, coming in. Lorenzen over Povich tomorrow, yes.
Yes,
absolutely. I've just never been impressed really by Cade Povich to this point. There's been a couple of decent starts, but overall he's been very disappointing, Bubba.
I'm a Povich fan. He's just annoying because he gets you tons of strikeouts, but he will blow your ratios up like half the time. So there's really no consistency in that regard. I see the path where he could be good someday. He just never finds it. So that's where the frustration is. But in a head-to-head league, you probably don't want to use them if you're in like a roto and you're like, hey, I need strikeouts right now. I don't care about my ratios. I like Povich, but in this question, give me Lorenzen all day.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. Playoff predictions. Well, my last playoff prediction did not go terribly well. I cursed the Houston Astros. At this point, everything is completely up in the air for the wild card spots. Those ones, I have no real predictions about the wild card. Anything could happen over the next few days. I think Seattle And Milwaukee at this point is who I would probably pick to meet up in the World Series. They're both really, really deep, strong teams. Seattle's World Series chances on Fangraphs are over 20%. They're by far the highest team. I think I'm going that way, and I think I'm going the Brewers in the NL, Bubba.
Yeah, Seattle and Milwaukee's been my pick for a couple weeks now. I'm going to stick with that. The only if it's not Milwaukee, I think it's Philadelphia because their starting rotation's filthy. Like they could do some damage. Milwaukee's taking a hit in that rotation, losing Woodruff, which concerns me. But I'm going to stick with it. Jays Milwaukee for now. More importantly, that would just frustrate all the TV people. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, they do not want those small market teams. I know they don't want Toronto anywhere near that. Toronto has good markets, but they never give Toronto any Sunday night baseball or any primetime stuff. I think the league might panic a little bit if they had to go north of the border for World Series coverage. They haven't had to do that in quite a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. I've never actually seen it myself. Tyler Wells today. That is, I believe,
Yes.
Tampa Bay.
Yes.
I think I'm going for it, yeah.
Keep playing Tyler Wells. He's been awesome. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, I'm there with you. Thanks as always, fellas. Been a great season. Appreciate you, Ghost Spork. Seen you in the chat a bunch. At what point in the draft do you take Chase Burns next year? So in a very early draft that took place 6 weeks ago at this point, Bubba, something like that.
Yeah.
Chase Burns went in the 8th round. Now, it hasn't been the greatest few weeks for Chase Burns overall, going to the bullpen and whatnot. And his season line as a whole, he's got a 5 ERA. He's got a 140 whip. But the upside there with the strikeouts, with the, I think, pretty solid command already, he could be an ace as soon as next season. Where you're having to draft him is probably, I would say, a borderline top 100 pick, somewhere in the 90 to 110 range in most rooms, Bubba. That sound about right?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, 8th round into 15. So people love the upside, to your point. He's kind of like the new Hunter Green for them. Like, where do you speculate? Around the 100 pick mark, give or take, seems accurate for now.
Yeah, I think things will move around. And he's definitely, we talk about helium guys in spring training. Chase Burns is a prime example of a dude who he throws a few 101-mile-an-hour pitches in March and he strikes out 9 dudes in a spring training game. That's the type of price that will just skyrocket. So I think he's the type of guy you get in early drafts if you really want to get some shares of Chase Burns. What do you think about Kim in Atlanta? Been doing well. Will he keep it up? I think he'll keep it up probably the rest of the way this season. I don't know about next year yet. I think I'll probably be interested depending on the price, but Kim, we've talked about him a bunch on this show. Bubba's talked about him a ton. He's definitely worth picking up if you're still seeing him out there.
Yeah, we talked about him actually last night on Bubba and the Bloom for something that because he was widely available in Fab recently, and he's got a 10-game hitting streak going right now. A couple home runs. He's not running much this year, but maybe that's injury based. Dude's always got a good hit tool, decent power, tons of speed when he's running. He's going to be in the middle of that Braves order. I love him for the rest of this season. And the question we had yesterday, or maybe it was on bench with Bubba with Ben, was where does he go in that like pocket of shortstops? He feels because he projects like with Jimenez and Stott, but to me he's better than them. So it's a very interesting. That's a whole other 2026 discussion. But to their question, sorry, off the rails. It's what I'm good at. Yes, keep playing him the rest of the season.
I can promise you he's better than Jimenez. Jimenez is an atrocious hitter. He's a great defender. No question. Great. One of the best defensive second basemen, maybe the best defensive second baseman. He could not hit a wiffle ball with a canoe paddle. The guy is awful at the plate. I think we're okay for chat right now. So let's keep it going here on the outline and talk about a quick mention and some bagpipes in the chat for Alek Manoah. I was very surprised by this move. The Blue Jays essentially released Alek Manoah yesterday. They designated him for assignment. Somebody will probably take a shot on him, I would imagine, at this point. He already has a Cy Young finish in his career. He finished 3rd in Cy Young voting in 2022. Dealt with a ton of injuries, went under the knife. He hasn't had the command since he's come back. I tweeted it yesterday, but it feels fairly short-sighted for them to have done this, giving up on Alek Manoah at age 27. But any initial thoughts that you had seeing this? Was it a surprising move to you, or am I perhaps being a little biased here?
No, I was surprised because he's still so young. He's had the injuries. I thought his rehab was going okay. Like, we're seeing some good outings and whatnot. Like, maybe he's never that ace again, but hey, from a Giants guy over here that has a horrible rotation, I'd take a shot at him to be like our 4th in a rotation all day long in that ballpark. So I think it's too early to give up on the guy unless there's more injury information under the hood that we're not being told about.
There was something about he refused an assignment a couple of years ago to AAA that ruffled some feathers and people weren't too happy about it. But the thing that shocks me in this situation is that the Blue Jays are not set up very well from a pitching standpoint going forward. Chris Bassett, 37 years old, or about to be 37 years old, on the IL. Bowden Francis was not what we were hoping he was going to be. No. Barrios, ditto. Kevin Gausman, he's going to be 35. Max Scherzer's 41. Bieber could leave in free agent. Like, this is not a team that has a deep rotation, especially looking ahead to next year. I was very surprised by this. Fenway saying Alek Manoah 2026 Marlins redemption arc. He'll go somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if Anthopoulos takes a chance on him, if the Dodgers take a chance on him, if really any team took a chance on him, and he ended up having a halfway decent career. Is he ever going to win a Cy Young? I very much doubt that, but he's shown that upside in his first year in the big, so it feels like the Blue Jays give up a little bit early here on Mr. Alek Manoah. Joe asking about Walker Buehler tomorrow over Lorenzen. I can't do it. I personally can't do it. I don't trust him, but what do you think, Bubba?
I never Buehler. I'll take the Lorenzen matchup all day long and twice on Sunday. I know, because I actually respect the Marlins right now. That's the crazy thing. So I'm not going with the Walker Buehler thing. Not right now.
Well, I mean, post-surgery, post-sticky stuff, I don't know that he's ever going to get back to what we saw before. Certainly, I don't think we'll ever see him at those previous levels. Maybe he can have, again, same thing with maybe Manoah. He can have a halfway decent career, maybe, but he's never hitting those previous peaks. Let's do a little 3 up and 3 down. Michael Harris II, 2 home runs yesterday, following up a game where he had 3 steals on Monday. This is maybe the most up and down player I can think of. There are times when he looks like prime Barry Bonds. There are primes where he can't hit the Mendoza line, Bubba. I don't really know what to make of him. I think in drafts, I'll probably just be out because people will, sell themselves on the hype and the upside when in reality, the performance hasn't been there in a couple of years, but it's hard not to be interested with what you see him doing down the stretch here.
Yeah, he keeps bringing fantasy managers back into the mix. I just stay away, but I can at least admit that the skills are really good, and he shows them from time to time. The price has to be right. He's been going too high in drafts in recent years. Now, if he falls to the round 100, 150 range, now we can talk. But I don't know. The skills are there. It's just very, very frustrating to your point.
1 homer and 1 steal off of a 2020 season. If somebody looked back in 7 years and said, oh, Michael Harris, 2025, yeah, he had a 2020 season, you would never know how frustrating this guy was to roster. I'm thankfully a lot of my shares were Gladiator teams, so I didn't really have to worry about it. And I've seen those teams kind of tick up in the standings in the second half. But my goodness, it has been a rough year for him. I'm glad he's picked it up now, but I just don't really want anything to do with him next year. Unless, to your point, if he's outside of the top 100, 150, sure. I just don't see a lot of people letting him fall that far just with the upside and whatever. Couple of pitchers here on the ups as well. Gavin Williams continuing his crazy run. 2 earned runs, struck out 12 Tigers yesterday. And in the second half, he has been a monster. Towers said he didn't trust it on Monday. I don't really trust it. What do you think, Bubba?
I've always been a Gavin Williams fan. It's been an inconsistency with his command. He'll have those nasty walk games, but that has improved in the second half, to your point. And it just keeps going back to like these young pitchers. There's guys making changes, this, that, and the other. And I don't know if you can trust, like people can't trust it, but it's been about a couple months at least where we're seeing this good pitching. I think he's got to roll with it. And I'll probably be in on it again next year. I was very interested coming into this year because I think there is a very solid skill set there. It just hasn't fully tapped into it, but we might be seeing part of it right now.
We might be. I hope we are. I just hope that price doesn't skyrocket. I'm intrigued. I don't want to pay a price that would be, looking like it would be if he had put on the second half numbers the whole season. I hope that people temper their expectations a little bit just for my own team's sake next year. And the last one, Cole Reagans, 5 innings, 2 earned runs, and he struck out 10. Cole Reagans, I know the numbers on the
Who did he face, Joe? Who did he face?
The Angels. Why do you got to do this to me? Why do you got to do this?
You're
not wrong. You're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong. But I would counter that with his strikeout rate for the year is 37%. And it's coming 57 innings. But I feel like Reagans, if he enters the year with a clean bill of health, I am going to be really interested in him. And I feel like I'll take those early draft, if there is any discount on him. The surface numbers may keep people away, but we're looking at a 30% strikeout minus walk rate, a 269 FIP. The stuff is still good. The fastball velo is still good. He looks like Cole Reagans, who has just had a little bit of an unfortunate year with injuries, Bubba, and a very high BABIP. I'm buying all the way back in 2026. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm in. Like, to me, it's, I guess, it's risk reward. Some people don't have the risk reward when it comes to their pitching, and I get it, but if you can stomach like a Tyler Glass now or a Blake Snell, you should be able to stomach a Cole Reagans because, yeah, there might be some risk there, but even if he gives you 100 to 120 innings, this can be some elite production, and we've seen him go much deeper than that before. The fact he's making starts to finish the season gives me confidence in his health, and I'm with you on this one.
Yeah, Justin and Paul and I were talking about it, and I think it was Justin who said, like, that 186 inning season is starting to look like the outlier a little bit. And we'll see. If he has another injury-filled year next year, that's when I would probably be a little bit worried. But right now, I'm still very much interested in Cole Reagans. On the downs, David Peterson. He's completely fallen apart in the second half, giving it all back. Just an inning and a third, allowed 5 earned runs on 5 hits and 2 walks. Eugenio Suarez with a golden sombrero. And Kevin Gausman, 4 earned runs on 9 hits over 5 2/3 yesterday. Not a great day for him. They also got completely hosed by the not Gausman in particular, just the Blue Jays getting absolutely hosed. And that maybe got into his head a little bit. Who knows? I don't want to derail the show. I could talk ad nauseum about.
Sounds like you have interest in this one, Joe.
Oh my God! Yesterday, did you see what happened? Did you see the Springer plays yesterday?
Yeah, I think I was recording one of my shows, and a bat was on, and Springer first the foul ball that wasn't a foul ball thing, and then the strike 3 where I'm surprised he didn't get tossed. He did enough and kept it together. I was shocked. I thought he was gonna. He had all the right to turn around and basically tell him where stuff should fly, basically.
Yes,
but he did not.
John Schneider got out there quickly. It was early in the game. You're still fighting for positioning. That was about as heated as I've seen George in the 4 or so years he's been in Toronto. He's usually pretty composed. He's usually a pretty happy-go-lucky guy. Not yesterday. He was pretty pissed, and I don't blame him. Let's talk about a couple injuries. Speaking of pissed, Wyatt Langford, another side issue. Had to leave early yesterday. I think I've lost track of the oblique/side issues this year. I want to say it's 5 times this has popped up going back to the preseason. I don't know how much I want to take him next year. I love the skill set. I love the talent, but these side issues are really starting to worry me.
Yeah, I'm still interested. It is very concerning, and it feels like the last couple they rushed him back. That's what I'm more like. What are we doing here? I feel like he had never really been healthy. Even this one right here, he sat out the weekend and he comes back for an inning. It's like, okay, he probably wasn't ready, guys. Like, what are we doing here? Yeah. So there's a few situations like that, but yeah, he's had too many of them. You're not wrong in that regard. So I can see the trepidation come draft day. I'm still interested because the skill set's so darn good. Like, he still went 2020 on a banged up season
with a 14% barrel, 48 hard hit, 13% walk rate. He is going to be a great player as long as he can avoid the injury bug. 134 games. I mean, it's not like it's cost him a ton of the season, but when he's been on the field, there have been times where he's really looking like he's playing hampered. And I think that is what has cost him a little bit here. Cade Horton left early after his back tightened up yesterday. Looked like he was going to be in line for the win, had to leave after 3. Not good if you started him for his final start of the year. And we've talked about already how he's probably somebody you're going to want to avoid next year. That price is probably going to be a little too high based on the surface numbers. Here's an interesting one I didn't expect. Roki Sasaki will be activated and pitch out of the bullpen for the Dodgers. There's no fantasy move here, obviously pitching out of the pen, but just an interesting reinforcement for them to have into the playoffs. Anthony Santander was activated by the Blue Jays. That was the reason why Alek Manoah was sent away. Ty France also went on the IL yesterday, but Anthony Santander back, Bubba. If you're in a daily league, let's say you need an outfielder or potentially need a little bit of pop, would you be picking him up and starting him right now?
Yeah, if you're interested in pop, they should play him every day to get at bats for the postseason to get ready. So, yeah, I'm on board with that. The Jays have a pretty friendly matchups this weekend with Hauser, Boyle, and Seymour. And Seymour's actually going to be moving to the bullpen, so who knows who's pitching Sunday for Tampa Bay.
I didn't see that, really. Why are they doing that? He's been so good.
I don't know. I was doing my news and notes last night for the Patreon, and let me find the actual tweet real quick for you. But, yeah, they announced yesterday that Ian Seymour will pitch out of the bullpen and is available tonight. That was yesterday. Kevin Cash said okay, so he might make one more start. He said he's likely to make one more start. So he could pitch Sunday, but I don't know. He was supposed to 2-step this week, and now they're pushing him back. So who knows if he makes that start.
Man, the Rays are so weird. Such a weird team. Well, they are going to be who they are going to be. Brian Wu had his start skipped, but apparently won't go on the IL. I have no confidence that he's going to start another game this regular season. Maybe in the postseason, but in the regular season, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, they said they're going to throw a bullpen on Thursday instead of a start, which means, hey, let's get him healthy for the second round of the playoffs since we have a bye.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. And then Tyler McGill, unfortunately, underwent Tommy John surgery. I've always liked Tyler McGill. The first podcast I ever did was with Ryan Bloomfield, and I remember we talked about Tyler McGill. It was the first name we talked about on the sheet. It's one of those weird things that stands out, just a nice memory for me with Ryan and Tyler McGill. But Tyler McGill, unfortunately, not going to be around the rest of this year, and you won't see him on the mound next year at this point either. And that will take us to our final best bets of the day segment of the year. I don't think there's going to be any bets on Friday. I could be wrong. But Bubba, for your last 3 bets on leading off of the year, what do you got, my friend?
I was baffled to see the number plus 190 for Pete Alonso over 3 hits, runs, and RBIs as he's just been mashing everything. Now, the wind could be blowing in Wrigley. I see how there could be issues with this scenario, but you got Matthew Boyd on the bump who's broken. He's exhausted. He's done. So give me Pete Alonso in this one. I mentioned we'll be going back to the Austin Martin well over 2 hits, runs, and RBIs at plus 125 MN because he's getting on base a ton. He's scoring runs, stealing bags. I know it's DeGrom, but DeGrom's not looked the same of late. Plus, you get a banged up Rangers bullpen in that matchup. And then we're going with a pitching prop. We're going with Blake Snell over 6.5 strikeouts at plus 120. Takes on the Diamondbacks. Team striking out about 22% of the time versus lefties over the past month. Snell's coming off back-to-back double-digit strikeout performances. If Snell doesn't walk guys, I don't see why he doesn't get 7+ Ks in this matchup. So give me a plus money at plus 120. I didn't put Kolek on the list, but you might as well throw that just for fun because, the Angels stink.
The Angels do very much stink, and that Blake Snell number, I like it. The Dodgers rotation right now, especially with Shohei cooking the way he is, this is maybe we should have picked them in the National League. They're looking very good. I agree on the Blake Snell one in particular, and I also agree with Austin Martin there. I'll start with mine. I'll start with DeGrom here. It's at the bottom of the page, but I've been the biggest DeGrom fan, and I'm taking the over here because I just don't think that he has looked fully right recently. Over 1.5 earned runs, minus 109. He could still have a very good game and give up 2 earned runs, and that's probably what's going to happen here. But I feel like that number is probably a little bit too good to be passing up. Miami and Philadelphia over 8.5 earned runs. Ryan Weathers and Jesus Luzardo. Weathers, who had been on a long layoff, comes back and looks good. I don't have a ton of worry there, but Philadelphia, they can scare you. They can definitely scare you as a team. And then Jesus Luzardo on the other side of that, the biggest wild card probably of all the pitchers this year, facing a team in Miami. Bubba mentioned earlier, I'll second it. They're not a joke of an offense. So I think that this game going over 8.5 feels pretty likely, and I'm taking that one at minus 102. Essentially, you're getting it even there. And then Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, I'm taking the pitching duel here. Paul Skeens and Hunter Green under 7 runs at minus 114. Those are our final best bets of the day, and that'll bring us to the home run board. Let's see what is going on with the homers. Whips is pulling away here at 64. It's going to take a lot from Positive Grouch or Bees at 62 in second and third to come back. George with 60, Fisher King with 59. It's going to take another Nick Kurtz 4 home run game to put you back in the mix here. It looks like it's going to be Whips, but Positive Grouch and Bees need a big one over the weekend to come back into it. I've had 2 consecutive home run calls go my way. If you've been watching the show all year, you know that it's like there must be a red moon outside or something like that. Augustine Ramirez and Ronald Acuna Jr. have been helping me out. So today I'm taking Jarren Duran against Max Scherzer, who looks like he should be retiring very, very soon. He looks broken. I am taking Jarren Duran in Toronto tonight against Max Scherzer. Bubba, where are you going today for your home run call, my friend?
Yeah, I'm trying to back up the Matt Olson call last Friday with a chalkier than chalk play. I haven't done this all season, so we're going Aaron Judge. Yeah, they're facing the Chicago White Sox. They're facing Ellard and a bullpen game, a White Sox bullpen. Let me echo that. So it should be some very nice matchups for Aaron Judge. I was going to pick any Yankee, but I'm like, let's go Judge for the final day of the season and see where it goes.
You might as well. And maybe we should put some kind of limitation on it next year. Not for you or not for me, but like anybody who wants to pick a guy like Shohei or Judge, like we should cap it at like 5 times for the year or something like that, Because like the way the rules work, you can go Judge, Shohei, Alonso, Judge, Shohei, Schwarber, and you just rotate there. I don't know. Well, I'll talk with Kelly. I think Kelly is the one who is the keeper of the keys on the Discord side there, and we'll talk about it for next year. But that'll do it. That'll do it, guys. Bubba, I love doing shows with you, man. It's always a blast, and I really appreciate that you've been able to do a bunch of them with me this year. Let the people know where you can be found and where they can keep up with you throughout the offseason.
Yeah, on X, BD Intric. You'll see everything tweeted out there. It's Bench with Bubba and Bubba in the Bloom. We don't stop during the off season. You'll still get at least one or two Bench with Bubbas and two Bubba in the Blooms every week, podcast and on YouTube. And then the Patreon, Bubba in the Bloom. We got some good stuff in coming up for you in the off season to enhance what we got going on over there. So we're always expanding what we do. You guys got to experience Bloomfield for a couple Mondays there. He's my co-host, good buddy of mine. So come support the boys over there once you're done supporting Fantasy Pros, supporting Joe and company, and trust me, you won't be disappointed.
I can vouch for them 100%. Ryan and Bubba do fantastic work. They're great people. They're two people who really helped me come along in this industry, so you can blame them for having to listen to me on this show all the time. We're going to be back on Friday. It's going to be Piece of P and Welsh, and I'm going to hop on as well just for a little goodbye. But that'll do it for leading off for the year, guys. We're really at the end of the season. We're going to have an episode of The Cycle come out in a few weeks, so there will be a baseball podcast in your feed in early October, and we are going to be back doing stuff throughout the offseason. But make sure you're following Bubba. If you're listening on the podcast feed, just click on his name. It'll take you right to Twitter. You can click on his name and follow him that way. You can do it for myself as well at Joe Orrico 99. But guys, that's it for Casey Bubba. I'm Joe Orrico. We'll talk to you next time right here on Fantasy Pros. Take care, everybody. Going to have to use the honor system for using a player. That is a good point, Fenway. The honor system would probably have to be used there.
Be cool if you did a Survivor format. You can only use them once a season.
That would be something. That'd be something. Baseball's a little long for that, but we could try it out.